So we know the quarterback is going to be changed. We do not yet know if the coach is going to be changed. I think most Falcons fans in unison are ready to give up on Arthur Smith. And I want to say, and you said it last segment, that no one here is defending Arthur Smith. But there is sort of a case, and more than anything, the reasoning why we are kind of leaning to him being back in 2024. Part of that is Arthur Blank. He's 81 years old. Jeff Schultz just wrote an article about it. He's tired. He's not necessarily eager to get into another regime change and go through all that again. He's gone through several of those in the last several years. But I think there's also something to be said that, there's a lot more risk by firing a coach. If we go in next year and Arthur Smith sucks again, right? We lost a year. You go out there and hire a bad coach, another Arthur Smith. You're talking about 3-4 years of bad stuff. You waste all of those rookie contracts. I mean, you're talking about 4 years from now. I mean, we're sitting here with absolutely nothing. So there's a lot more risk going out there and hiring a guy. And I know everyone thinks that they're just Ben Johnson's going to be the next Kyle Shanahan or whatever. And maybe he is. But there's also a chance that he isn't. And you made a bad hire. And now you're 3 years out. So there's a lot less risk keeping Arthur Smith and seeing if he can right the ship with another quarterback and another coordinator and blaming it on those things. Now, I'm not sure that that's going to work out, but there is a clear greater risk by firing him after this season. And obviously Arthur Blank is probably rightfully hesitant and wanting to go through all of that again at his age. Because if he misses on the next guy, I mean, we're talking about a guy who, I hate to say it, might not even be alive for two coaches down the road.
Yeah, and obviously that's not how Falcons fans are thinking about building this team, but that is not, we're not the ones in charge. We're not the ones making the decision. We're talking about it from Blank's point of view that, as Schultz said, that he's tired. He doesn't want another regime change because he doesn't know how long he's going to be around. And that's a fair assessment for a guy who's 81 years old. And who as the closest he's gotten to a Super Bowl, he wants one. Nobody wants to win as bad as Arthur Blank in Atlanta. The guy is the one writing the checks. And I know everyone's going to say, he's made a couple of bad decisions, but he has made a lot of bad decisions. There's no doubt about that. And everybody has a gripe with him one way or the other, but the guy puts his money where his mouth is. And a lot of owners and a lot of other leagues do not do that. So at least we have that here in Atlanta. Now, with that being said, I, again, am not defending Arthur Smith, but this regime has not invested in the quarterback position. And I know we had Myles Garrett on from Fox 5 yesterday. And, he brought up a good point that how often does a coach get to go through so many quarterbacks? Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke. And to that point, the only one that had real investment in was Desmond Ridder, and that was only a third-round pick. There has not been a real investment in the position since this regime took over, and nobody knows that better than Arthur Blank. I know they were all behind this guy, but it was a measly third-round pick. We spent the third-round pick in 2021 on Jalen Mayfield and cut bait with them this offseason. So that just shows you how important or not important a third-round pick is. No, I'm talking multiple first-round picks, free agency dollars, whatever it is, a significant investment in the position. And then at that point, if you have that assessment where Arthur Smith is clearly not the guy, then yeah, I could understand parting ways with them. But the fact of the matter is Desmond Ridder is a terrible quarterback. He is not a starting caliber quarterback in this league. You could put him in Kyle Shanahan's system and he would still not be that good. I firmly believe that. I just think that everybody is overreacting to Desmond Ridder's faults and blaming it on Arthur Smith. Could Arthur Smith be better? Yes, he is the one who hitched his wagon. But let's just, compartmentalize his quarterback evaluation, which is obviously terrible, to his ability to call a football game. And there's still faults in that area. But if we have a good quarterback, there's a quarterback, who could cover up some of those deficiencies, as I said multiple times. Now, again, I'm trying not to defend Arthur Smith by any means. I'm just trying to lay out everything that Desmond Ridder is a bad quarterback. I mean, solely accounting for 2-3 losses. You turn 2-3 losses, the Falcons are sitting at 9-5 instead of 8 or 6-8. And obviously the defense plays a part in that. And Bijan Robinson had a fumble against the Panthers. That was costly. So I just think that putting it all on Arthur Smith or all on Desmond Ridder or all on those two guys is just so disingenuous to what football is. It takes 22 guys and even more, another 11 guys on special team, all of the front office and the owner being in unison, tugging on the same rope. So I just think, overreacting and firing Arthur Smith is crazy because, like you said, there's no guaranteeing that you're going to get the next coaching decision right. In fact, the odds are you're not going to get the coaching decision right because there's like only 8 or 9 head coaches in the NFL where everybody's like, yeah, I'd take that guy over the guy I have right now.
Yeah, and then that brings me to my next point. I mean, I talked about it from the ownership point of view and Arthur Smith. What about the fans' point of view? Do you guys really have faith in Rich McKay and Arthur Blank getting the hire right? Like, the odds are they're probably going to bring in the wrong guy. So do you really want to take that risk? You really have to think about that because I know everyone thinks that they're just going to hire the next guy and they think they know who the next guy is. Well, one, maybe you do, maybe you don't. 2, there's no guarantee that they're going to go out there and get that guy or anything close to that guy. I mean, who knows? They could end up with Bieniemy or something like that. And I don't think Bieniemy is the next guy. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, we really don't know about any of these guys. There's no clear-cut guy out there that we can just go and poach. I mean, what are you going to do? Go get Bill Belichick? Is that your answer? I mean, seriously, like, where is the answer here? Now, if Arthur Blank wanted to pull out his checkbook and say, hey, Kyle Shanahan, I'll take care of your buyout and I'll pay you $50 million a year. Okay. Then now we're talking. If he wanted to do that, that's like his parting gift to the Atlanta Falcons. More power to you. It doesn't count against the cap. I've always wondered why more teams don't do that because a rich owner, I mean, if you had a Steve Cohen here, why wouldn't he just go out there and be like, hey, Andy Reid, here's $100 million. Doesn't really matter. You're gonna come coach for me. And what's Kansas City do? They're either going to match it, which they're probably not, or he's going to be the next head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. I've always wondered why that doesn't happen. Maybe just because the owners would be so like against it that like they would like, because obviously they're like this, they have this shield and they like protect each other, that they would be, it would set bad precedent and stuff like that. But I mean, if he just wanted to say, screw it, I'm 81 years old, like I want to win a Super Bowl more than anything, that's an interesting thing. But trusting Arthur Blank, who neither of us have, great things to say about in terms of his football decisions, great guy, great philanthropist, great owner in terms of what he's brought to the product and Mercedes-Benz and everything. Not a great decision maker when it comes to football. Hasn't necessarily made these great hires. I mean, what if we get Bobby Petrino? Like, it's just like there's so many countless examples where we've hired the wrong guy more often than not. That
the fact is a lot of franchises hire the wrong guy, and the fact is also that we might not think Rich McKay is the smartest guy when we're talking about making the decisions. He failed as a GM and got a promotion. The fact is, you, me, everybody who's complaining, we're idiots too. So like, don't act like you're the one who's going to be able to get it right. It's a hard thing to do. It's the hardest thing to do. Running a professional organization and winning is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of luck. I mean, I think half the times it's just like, we hope this guy works. I mean, I don't think there's ever been like, even when you look at the Sean McVays and obviously Kyle Shanahan did so good in Atlanta that was kind of an obvious one. But like, even when you look at a lot of these candidates, like I think a lot of it comes with luck. So
Kansas City just needing a head coach at the right time that Andy Reid was burning out with the Eagles. That's a lot of luck.
Yeah. It's so much easier said than done. So I understand from Blank's perspective. And I think fans need to understand it from Blank's perspective too, because the grass ain't always greener. I mean, it's possible that
as we saw with Matt Ryan. It's
possible you get someone worse in here than Arthur Smith. Yes. Like, he's not the worst coach in the NFL.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah. So it sounds easy. I know everyone wants to just fire everyone. I wouldn't blame it. We wouldn't blame it, but we got to think about the potential consequences. Coming up after the break, Raiola to Nebraska. Carson Beck is coming back for his senior season. How should Dog fans feel?